big takedown.
Empower artists' independence.
These cultural moments.
It's all about the long game.
Okay, so we're back and it's 2025 and we're really excited about this year and all the great things we're going to bring in this podcast. And we promise you that it will be bigger, it will be better. But this time around, we're going to promise you some really interesting guests, okay? So we're going to put a series on of guests that we'll be interviewing. We're going to be doing a musical icon series, interviewing the very best of the people within the music industry. That'll be coming in our next episode, hopefully. But in this episode, we have got loads of things that we want to go through with you. First and foremost, the biggest one is, or the biggest news of the week for me, has probably been Spotify. I read several articles this week talking about the big takedown. So Spotify have been doing a series of takedowns, removal of streams and plays of tracks over the last few months. I'm sure a lot of you have been affected by it. Please let us know if you have. Now, I was thinking, why are they doing this? What's behind it? Why would they be removing streaming from a track and deeming artificial streaming, where I know that most of the people that I know have been affected have never, ever engaged in any form of artificial streaming ever? I discovered that it potentially could be around them just not wanting to pay out
royalties, yeah.
Basically.
So a lot of streams now comes from smaller artists. A large majority of the platform is made up of over almost 11 million artists, and a very small amount of them generate the biggest streams, like your Taylor Swifts and your Weekends and things like that.
Yeah.
But there are lots of smaller ones that are also, when you add it all up, there's a lot of streams being made. And it's kind of convenient that distributors and Spotify are sometimes at odds with each other, because if they remove those streams, those artists from the platform, lo and behold, they don't have to pay the royalties to the distributor, and the distributor doesn't have to pay the royalties to the artist. So there's some kind of murky things going on with Spotify in terms of like why certain tracks may be taken down. And some of the reasons are cited are things like a sudden surge in streams. You
can be a normal artist that gets generally about 200 plays a day and decide to invest in some social ad promo via the likes of Meta, and suddenly your track's generated 500 to 1,000 plays a day. And I mean, that would be deemed quite a good campaign actually, and you've obviously got your social analytics just perfect. That would potentially get you either taken down or flagged for artificial streaming, just because the nature of the plays of your historic track haven't tracked that way. And this is all down to
the sudden surge in streams, basically. So
they don't want to pay out, basically.
Yeah. So as a promotional agency ourselves, one of the things that we do is to make sure that you don't see this sudden spike in streams and then sudden drop off when you leave.
Yeah.
And so we want to try and keep that nice organic growth for you with real listeners, real engaged people who save your track to their own playlist and won't get flagged by this really, if I'm being honest, quite very basic detection software, which isn't very advanced. And so the ways to combat this is to really focus on real fans and genuine promotional campaigns that last longer than a month. And that's what we're kind of focused on.
Yeah, and so, I also heard the likelihood is, which is even worse as well, they're trying to penalise people even more. If you're likely to be a listener that hasn't subscribed, so you don't pay any kind of subscription fee, they're almost deeming that listener the artificial listener, okay, and deeming them as a bot. Because they can't make money out those people as well. Yeah. So it's just horrendous. And I think Spotify, more and more people, within my circles, my communities, are getting frustrated about Spotify. They've had enough of the fact that Spotify are paying, even some of the biggest artists that we know who get millions of streams on Spotify still can't sustain a full-time career out of their music, which is a real shame. So it's even hard. Imagine being an independent artist. It's even harder. Well, look, we want to collaborate. We love Spotify. We've built an amazing business out of Spotify. We just wish they would do better.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, without talking it down too much, there is a lot of opportunity here as well, because
I'm going to talk to you about these opportunities as well.
Yeah, because whilst there is things that are bad happening on Spotify, there's also room being made for genuine artists with genuine followings and allowing yourself to grow effectively on the platform. But I would say, research who you're working with, spend time understanding what they actually do, and from the very start to the very finish. Again, don't go for the numbers, just the streams, because it will hurt you in the long run.
Yeah.
We've seen that countless number of times with countless artists. They want all streams really fast, really quick. Their mates are doing well.
Quick and dirty hit.
Yeah.
Never goes well.
Their friends are doing well, so they want to show their mates, or whatever reason is, they maybe want to pitch their agencies and labels and so on. But I would say it's all about the long game, and it's going nowhere. Like you're going to be able to have those streams in the future come back to you as long as they're real listeners. That's the main.
Yeah, and beware. Also, a few of my friends have been approached by by agencies who are offering free promo as well. There's going to be something wrong there.
Yeah.
If a place company is pitching you free opportunities,
and if it costs very little as well, be wary of that, because guess what costs very little? Bots.
Exactly. Yeah.
Humans are expensive to attract and entice to your music if you're an unknown artist. So you have to be prepared to invest as well. And that's one of the things I think a lot of artists fall short on. It's like, well, my friend got, a 10,000 streams for 50 quid. Well, guess what? Their bots are in wherever, Sacramento or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend researching the agency. I mean, we only work with dedicated ad providers. We have ad specialists that focus on really cool, compelling content that's going to drive traffic and audience to your track. We also do things like playlist building as well.
Yeah.
So
we're going to give you a few tips on what we think you can do in the world of Spotify and how you can further enhance your profile. So Adam's going to take you through all those tips. Number one,
don't focus on streams, focus on Spotify score. The reason I say this is because Spotify score is really what drives the algorithmic playlist, which is going to get you the streams, the real fans, the real people in the end. The problem we've got is people just want the number. And so they ignore all of this, and their Spotify score isn't very good, and they don't really hit the playlist that they want to within Spotify. So look at your Spotify score. And the way to do that, to improve that, is actually to build your profile on Spotify. And how do you do that? Build your fan base, get people to come and visit your profile.
Yeah.
Another thing we've also offering at the moment is to build your own playlist, which will bring followers of those playlists to your release radar.
Yeah.
So that your track appears on all of their release radars on your release day. And that means that you're signaling to Spotify, I'm a popular artist and I'm about to, I should be listened to.
Yeah.
So that's one great way really to focus on building that score.
Yeah, absolutely. And, things like make sure, if you're going to be bringing people to your own profile on Spotify, make sure everything's on point. Make sure your images are on point. Make sure your bio's on point, that you've hyperlinked all your socials on there. Make sure that your favorite track, artist pick, is your current track or release. Make sure that all of the playlists that you have featured are playlists of a similar genre or mood that you're trying to depict. We've talked a lot about brand identity, and I think that this year, 2025, is going to be the year of the brand identity, and really kind of showcasing that through a sort of an array of different things, but mostly your tone of voice, your imagery, your style, how you come across to others, basically, because that gives them quick snapshot of who you are, and that will then also entice them as to whether they want to listen to you if that's the kind of thing they're really into. Okay, because I know for a fact, for me, sometimes when I'm just scrolling through Spotify, if an image kind of captures my attention, I might be like, "Ooh, they look cool. I want to listen to them." So you've got to be going back to the drawing board here. No one, I see countless Spotify profiles, but there's no real bio. I don't really know what I'm listening to, who they are, what their genre is. So I know we've talked about this countless times.
So tip 2, digital health check. make sure you health check your whole profile. You ticked off everything. Your favorited artist, your own playlist, your profile pic looks good. You've got links to your socials.
Yeah.
You've got all your relevant tracks on there, and you don't have other duplicate names turning up from wherever, God knows wherever. Get rid of that.
How do you get rid of those?
Contact your distributor, tell them that you've seen a duplicate artist on your profile, and they'll help reallocate it.
Yeah, because that happens a lot, doesn't it?
Tip 3, grow your own playlist. This is one of the things I think is missed by a lot of artists, because we're so obsessed about pitching to playlists all the time, which is great.
Yeah.
But what happens when you come off those playlists? It's like, see you later.
Yeah. Hang on. So you kind of create your own players, and what, you have quite a few
Have your own following, yeah. So every time you build that following, you have those followers become your release radar fans. So when you put that new release out, it's going to appear on all of those followers' release radars, which is a trigger for the algorithm. Again, going back to the Spotify score, it will grow your Spotify score. So this is a great tip. And I think artists ignore this because we get too focused on other people's playlists. Build your own playlist first. And one way to grow is to use various different promotional techniques. I mean, we offer a bespoke set of ad services which helps you grow your own playlist to however many followers you want over however long the period of time. Invest in yourself and to really own your own shit, basically.
That sounds cool. Yeah.
It's like buying a house versus renting. It's better to buy in the end, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, okay. So how do we find out about that? So that really piques my interest. So I want to have my own playlist. I want, I'd love to have 30,000 followers on it. I come to you guys.
Yep.
I come to us even. Like you kind of grow that players. Does it take time? Does it take,
It takes time, definitely, because we're only going to present your music to real people, real followers, real listeners. And so we need to focus on which target audiences you have. We need to focus on retargeting, making amazing content to drive traction to the playlist. But ultimately, that playlist is going to be yours, and it's going to be like an asset you own. It's like own your own destiny, basically. I mean, it's like owning your own company.
Yeah.
And you can also trade with other labels and artists and do swaps and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I do swaps with us once you've built a playlist.
Yeah.
So
that's really cool.
I think it's a great way to own, again, empower artists' independence. That's our mission, and I think help whatever we can do to help you stay and remain independent and not need to constantly rely on third party. We will help you do that.
Sounds cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Tip 4 I wanted to add, I think, is the year of getting into bed with some really interesting brands. So I think if you're an artist and you see all these great high street brands, I think this is the year for some really interesting brand collaborations. Now, I know we see the big brands getting into bed with the big artists, but actually our phone's been ringing off the hook with these high street brands are actually wanting to collab with young, emerging, interesting, edgy music and musicians, aren't they?
Yeah.
They don't want to be going with the same old names, the Taylor Swifts and I don't know, Justin Biebers and stuff like that. They've done that. It costs them a lot of money. Yeah. But now they're actually preferring to kind of, I'm just about to speak to a very, very big sports brand, actually. Their head of brand collaborations, I think we're going to work on a big strategy next month together. And she said for them, it's all about these cultural moments. And they see their cultural moments being aligned with independent music.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're an independent musician, this is your time.
Yeah.
I promise you, it's a really, really good place to be.
And what is independence? It's owning your own assets, is be able to monetize your own music, and not just music, but your brand and building a team and all of this kind of stuff. And brands are an opportunity to earn money. I mean, let's be honest. Let's not just rely on Spotify.
No.
Spotify's just the beginning. It's the wallpaper.
Yeah.
But you've got these opportunities here to align yourself with other brands and actually speak to some of the representatives there, because they will tell you about what they've got culturally going on.
Yeah.
What moments are they chasing?
Yeah.
How are they trying to position themselves as a brand? What's their values? How do they see themselves aesthetically? And you could match with that.
Yeah.
And so, as an agency, we also have those relationships. You can come through us. You could go direct. But I can definitely tell you it's a relationship-based world. So you want to make sure you talk to the right people, but continue to talk to them, and you'll find opportunities. You don't have to be huge. That's the main point you're making, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think actually, see your superpower as being the independent artist, actually, because they want to be seen as talent spotters. They want to spot the next biggest thing. They want to spot the next biggest age. Okay, Lana Del Rey. They, where they want to feel like they're there, fresh off the hot of the heels from Mahalias and people like that. Okay, and they are looking for somebody like you to say we were the ones that discovered them. Okay, and they want to create these interesting campaigns, and we're about to lock in a few really interesting campaigns this year. And I think get in touch with us because it's a really good opportunity.
So just to add to your tip 4, understand what the brands stand for.
Yes.
And then align yourself with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't be afraid to reach out to brands as well. Like I say this all the time. I sit on loads of panels and they was like, oh, can I? I was like, look, they're busy. Chances you're getting ignored. That's why you come to people like us, because we have those relationships. But don't be afraid to reach out to them. Don't be afraid, okay? Use LinkedIn. Check out who worked for who. Present yourself. Be kind. Be sincere. And don't hound them, basically, okay? And tell them why they should work with you. Where are the similarities? Where's the value matching? Okay. But like I said, we've got some really strong relationships. We're always looking for talent.
Yeah.
Get in touch with us.
We do live activations with other artists. We're running playlist networks for them and for brands. And so we can, contact us and we can see if there's something not far from you that we can set up.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So for us, 5th and final tip. What are you going to say, Adam?
Collab with other artists.
Yes. I hope everyone's got a notepad and I hope we're taking notes here. But
I've said this a million times on other podcasts, but I swear it's one of the best and easiest ways to reach new audiences. Yeah. And I know there's artists out there that are super protected maybe of their art, and they are afraid of sharing or having other people's influence on it. And I get it. There's a place and time for it. But if you are open to it, this is great because you can do straight, you can go straight into other people's audiences. They can get into your audience. You can collab together live. You can work on brand activation.
The Avicii documentary's been out, for a week. We've all seen it on Netflix. God bless his soul. And he was the king of the collabs, right? That guy managed to onboard a sort of relatively unknown folk artist. Maybe he was big, I don't know in the folk world, but he got a folk artist on board who, the track just blew up. It's one of the biggest streaming tracks in the world, isn't it? It's in the billions now. Same for Ale Black. He managed to get him on board. He had such a creative mind. We won't talk too much about Avicii, but I actually didn't realize how creative and how amazing he was. But he was able to merge 2 completely random sounds. So I think this year it's about following on from his legacy, actually, and doing more of that. So if you're a hip hop artist, how do you feel about collabing with an EDM artist, a producer who's making kind of like trance beats or something? Maybe that actual collab will sound fucking amazing. Maybe your drill artist, maybe, your pop artist, 80s synth pop, whatever. I think just go for it.
Yeah. I think the more daring and the more extreme you go, the more interesting the collab will be.
Yeah, exactly.
Recommend.
You'll always find a way to make it blend in the most beautiful way.
Yeah.
Even if you pull out an
who'd have thought, if they mixed folk at the time, going back to 2016, something like that, but who would think folk with hardcore EDM drops?
Exactly.
You just don't think of those two coming together, it just created these anthemic type of things.
Yeah.
And again, with Fred again, he mixes that really emotive, kind of soulful, moments where very almost a bit melancholy, and then suddenly you've got this super high energy drop, and it's a great combination. So having that vision and just being experimental, but also you can get into the wrong collabs as well. So you've got to be selective, and that's where your art comes in.
And it's fine, to try out a few collabs, and they might not feel right, and that's fine. I think if it's a mutual decision between you, you'll be like, okay, we'll revisit this at a later time, or whatever, and just to be polite. But sometimes you don't know until you try. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's sometimes the wackier the better, and actually something beautiful might come out of it. You may just need a really good producer, mixer or masterer to just make it, just pull out a tiny bit of it that actually makes it sound even better on a well-produced track or something. But I definitely think, and we're quite passionate about that, aren't we, that it's going to be the year of the sort of genre blurring and kind of collabing with people that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, 100%.
So that brings us to the end of those 5 tips. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please give us some feedback. Tell us what you're thinking underneath. Tell us what you want more of. And like we say, we'll be back with a series of musical icons. So that's coming soon. We can't wait to bring that to you.
Yep, we've got some amazing guests coming. Write them in the comments below if there's anyone you'd like us to speak to as well.
Yeah.
Also, submit any tracks that you've got that you'd like us to have a listen to. We have a incredible A&R team that can discuss strategy options for you for the future on how you can promote your music and how best
our advice is free.
Yourself on the platforms.
Absolutely. Look, A&Rs don't charge for the time. They're really skilled, really knowledgeable, and they'll give you a very quick fire strategy on where to go next to your music. So get in touch.
Yeah, and like and subscribe. Thanks you guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.